I'm amazed at what God has done in the lives of these young people that are just exiting the platform this evening. It's so inspiring to watch them sing and watch them worship. And that's why we're here, to mold and shape the hearts and minds of young people just like those. And God has sent us some of the best. And we're going to hear from one of those in just a few moments, and I'm very excited about hearing from her. She has an incredible testimony of how God brought her here and what God is doing in her life. So I'm going to move very quickly through some news items, and then I'm going to let you hear the testimony of Brittney Thornbury. She's from Indiana, and she's going to share with us in just a few moments. First of all, I want to thank you, those of you who participated in our fundraising auction. We had a wonderful time. It was a fun atmosphere. The food was good. And best of all, we more than tripled our profits from last year. So I was really, really thankful. There were some people that worked very hard on that. Sharon Walker. What would we do without Sharon Walker? Faith Tofty. Faith Tofty she contributes a lot of the brain power behind this operation. And then Kara Gumbiner. She is our assistant in advancement, and she is doing a phenomenal job. And she worked so hard. She did most of the footwork, to be honest, for the auction, and did the decorating and a lot of organizing. And then, of course, we can't leave out Laverne Boyer. Laverne Boyer was our expert auctioneer, and he's been doing it for about 20 years, and we're so thankful for his contribution. So thank you all. It was a great success. A couple of departmental updates. Our academic departments are on the move. We've got a lot of interesting things going on. I mentioned to you that the counseling group had gone to a convention recently, that the ministerial guys had gone to IMF, and different things are going on. But FACS Convention, the education department just got back from FACS Convention, and there were 21 students that attended. And according to Mrs. Joanna Stratton, who is the chairperson of that department, they had a fantastic time. Of course, we're very proud of the fact that both Dr. Churchill and Dr. Brent Jones are important figures in FACS, and we have a satellite office right here on our campus now where FACS is administered in part right here from our campus. So our school has become a model school for FACS. So it was encouraging to hear the reports of their convention. And then our missions program, our intercultural studies department, which of course now is headed up by Sidney Grant. And I'm just amazed that God allowed us to have someone of his stature, someone with his resume, a missionary statesman in my mind, and I'm sure in yours as well, to head up that department. And he was telling me that they are planning a trip to Central America January 11 through 17, and they will be having a fundraising dinner in the cafeteria on December the 9th. That's a Saturday. So be sure and talk to some of the missions majors about that. You can call the front desk at the college and get more information on that. We'd love for you to support them. We also have an Israel tour coming up in March of this coming year. I know many of you know about that already. We already have 2 buses. So we have one of the biggest tours we've ever had going. It's very exciting. And I have about 6 seats left. Now, we ran out of seats, and then I was able to wring some more out of El Al Airlines, and these seats are going out of Miami. So if you're from the locale here, you can just ride the college coach down to Miami with the rest of us and fly right to Israel directly from Miami. So got about 6 seats left. If you're interested, we would love to have you go. It costs about $3,300, and that's an all-inclusive price. It includes taxes, tips, and hotels, and bus fare, and food, and all of that sort of thing. So we'd love to talk to you more about that if you're interested. And then right here, a week from tonight, Sunday night the 19th, we have the Academy Thanksgiving program. And we'll hear from several different choirs and many of our Academy students. I know many of you have children or grandchildren in the Academy, so be sure and mark that on your calendar and be here next Sunday night. This is reaching out a little bit into the future, but we have the partnership banquet scheduled for January the 20th. That's on a Saturday night. The food is always fantastic. We have Attorney David Gibbs scheduled to speak for that event, so we would love to have you attend. Put that on your calendar as well. And then don't forget, homecoming is coming up February 2 and 3. That's a Friday night and Saturday during the day. It's the first weekend of Seabreeze Camp. We're grateful to FEA for allowing us to run our event concurrent with camp meeting. So be sure and mark that on your calendar as well. And then we have the new concert series brochures available. So stop by the college, or we'll have some here at the church office, and be sure and put those events on your calendar. At this time, I'm going to ask Brittney Thornbury to come and share with you her testimony.
I was just in 2nd grade when I heard the words, "Your mommy and I got a divorce." My parents, who I thought would be together forever, were splitting apart, and I was convinced it was my fault. Throughout my childhood, I continually blamed myself for the divorce of my parents. By the 5th grade, I had contemplated suicide numerous times. I struggled with insecurity and feeling like I belonged. And one day, after getting in a fight with my best friend and my parents having an argument the night before, I walked into the kitchen, I held a knife to my throat, and I sobbed. I felt like if I died, everything would be better, and maybe my parents would finally get along. Looking back, I know those thoughts were ridiculous, but those were the lies Satan was whispering in my young ear. However, in our little town of Ridgeville, there was a place called The Steps, and I always remember wanting to go there as a little girl because all my friends went there and played arcade games, and at Halloween time, they gave us these cool cross necklaces, which at the time I thought were plus signs, and they gave us full-size candy bars, so why wouldn't I want to go there? My mom, however, was very hesitant about letting us go to this place that handed out those plus signs. You see, her grandparents were Jehovah's Witnesses, and when she was a little girl, her grandparents shunned her and her dad for not believing their way. Therefore, my mom never let us go to the steps, and I truly believe that she felt like she was protecting us. As the years went by, my dad met my stepmom, Jessie, who just happened to live a block away from the steps. So at 12 years old, on a chilly September day, I walked into the steps for the first time, and they, there, introduced me to Jesus. That next June, I was saved, and God filled my bitter heart with love and completely transformed my life. God also began to convict me about the music I listened to, how I dressed, and how I talked. My family at first was quite baffled when I changed, and I definitely heard their opinions about it. At school, I lost a lot of friends because of my changes and was mocked and teased. During those times, I felt lonely, but since I had Jesus in my life, I had a new hope. I was determined to follow Jesus. Then, my junior year of high school, I got into my first official relationship with a guy. He was a Christian, but our beliefs did not match up exactly. The longer I was with him, the more I began to change my beliefs and go back to my old ways, listening to the music God had convicted me not to, and dressing the way God had told me not to. I was absolutely miserable, and I just felt completely lost. I had lost the joy of the Lord. Thankfully, I ended that relationship, and that summer at youth camp, I rededicated my life to Jesus, and he revealed to me there that he wanted me to attend Bible college. Sarah Stetler was at the youth camp the year I rededicated my life to God, and I remembered having a long talk with her. After youth camp, Sarah did not just forget about me. She would text me at random times, telling me that she was thinking of me, and those texts really meant a lot. Anyways, by the second month of my senior year, God revealed to me that Hopestown Bible College was the place he wanted me to attend to study elementary education. It took me about a week to muster up the courage to tell my dad that I wanted to go to college about 1,000 miles away. And when I did, let's just say, he wasn't too happy. I told my dad that I felt like it was where God was calling me, but my dad wouldn't hear of it. Every time the topic of college came up, an argument would occur. And by argument, I mean me repeatedly telling my dad that this is where God wanted me to go, and this is where God was calling me. And my dad would respond by saying I was a fool and God didn't call people places. He stressed that I would fail and most likely fall into debt. During this point of my life, I fell into deep confusion and despair. I knew my Heavenly Father wanted me to go to Hopestown, but I longed for the approval of my earthly father. I began to backslide during this time, turning to the wrong people for comfort and listening to the wrong advice. I made some terrible decisions and my life seemed to blur. Then one day, when I hit a very low point, I ran to my close friend Chelsea, and she led me back to Jesus. After that night, I began to fully study God's Word, and it gave me the strength and the comfort I needed for my broken heart. I still knew that God wanted me to go to Hopestown, but wanting my dad's approval, I continued to look into other colleges. My dad suggested me going to UBC for a year instead of Hopestown, and so when preview days came around the corner, I went. The day before preview days, my dad and I got into our worst argument, and I hardly got any sleep that night. But while I was at UBC, God gently reminded me that he indeed wanted me to go to Hopestown. And then I surrendered to God, and I told him, I was like, even though my dad doesn't approve of me coming to Hopestown, I'm going to trust that you will take care of things, and this is where I'm going to go. When I returned from preview days, my dad came into my room, and I opened up to him and told him exactly how I felt and how sometimes his words made me feel worthless, and he had really hurt my feelings. My dad apologized, and although he still didn't agree with God calling me to Bible college, he gave me his approval. Since that night, my dad and I's relationship has grown tremendously, and I became closer to my whole family because of it. Also, God provided ways for me to be here financially as well. One of my friend's mothers, who I confided in when things were going wrong in my family, felt like God was laying it on her heart to give me a $5,000 scholarship to come to Hope Sound Bible College. Once my dad found out that I had received a few scholarships and would not start off college in debt, he was very happy. Today, even though my dad hates me being so far away, due to always wanting to be there to protect his little girl, he supports me being at Hope Sound Bible College, always reminding me that he is just one phone call away. God answered so many prayers and opened many doors for me this past year to come to Hope Sound, and it is the best feeling to know that I am in the center of God's will. Since I have been at Hope Sound Bible College, I have grown a lot spiritually, and I thank God for all that He has done in my life this far, and I am more than excited to see what He has in store. Thank you for listening.